So in 2019, Katy Perry was the reason that I did not make it any further than the original audition on American Idol.
She was a massive pop star for like 15 years or so, but now she's fizzled out.
Oh, it's so sad to go back and look at the actual footage. It's so humiliating. Not only was there a fake door that opened from the inside of the pod, but also Katy Perry, who's on the flight, did this.
The pop industry has always been home to its fair share of divas. But even in a realm filled with extravagant demands and private jets, Katy Perry's situation stands out. Her latest album flopped spectacularly, she was let go from her Vegas residency, and her tour is struggling. Recently, she made headlines when her bra popped off during a performance. But honestly, I don't have much interest in Katy Perry. According to a former backup singer, the once-beloved icon of teenage dream fame allegedly enforced a peculiar rule. Every member of her team was required to stand and applaud when she entered a room. Not just a polite nod or a professional greeting, but a full standing ovation every single time.
Katy Perry is finally making headlines for all the wrong reasons, and I got my popcorn for this one.
The pop industry always had its divas, but even in a world of wild rider demands and private jets, this is something else.
Her last album bombed miserably. She's being fired from Vegas. Nobody wants to watch her residency. Her tour is bombing. And now she's got some, I think it's a stunt. Her bra popped off on her show, but I don't really care all that much about Katy Perry.
Failure to comply could reportedly cost them their job. This meant that every time she walked into a room, her entire crew had to stand and clap. The duration of this alleged policy and how many crew members complied out of fear rather than respect remains unclear, but the implication is evident. Katy wasn't merely running a tour, she was ruling a kingdom. In her court, you either worshipped the Queen or you were out. Sources claim she was so disconnected from reality that anyone who dared to offer honest feedback was quickly silenced.
Every time she walks into a room, her entire team, crew, everyone who works for her is required to stand up when she walks into a room. I think he said they have to clap too.
No criticism was tolerated. Even when she solicited opinions about her new record, if someone replied with, "It's different," she allegedly snapped back, "Well, it's not for you," and walked away. While it's understandable how someone could become psychologically detached, that doesn't excuse the behavior. This isn't just a disgruntled crew member venting on a podcast. Former staff members are now feeling empowered to share their experiences after years of silence, NDAs, and humiliation.
So while I can understand why someone can psychologically become so out of touch, that doesn't make it okay.
One backup singer even refused to post about the tour on Instagram, citing the experience as so dysfunctional and dehumanizing that he didn't want his name associated with it. Eventually, he quit altogether. So how did we arrive at this point? How did Katy Perry, once the reigning queen of pop hits, become the kind of boss who demands applause to feel respected? This isn't merely a celebrity in decline. It hints at something deeper and darker. For the first time, I sensed a palpable darkness surrounding her.
It was for the first time I actually sensed darkness. I sensed darkness around her.
As we began to investigate, it became clear that this was not just an ego spiral, but the tip of a toxic iceberg. Once the rumors about the clapping policy surfaced, more troubling stories emerged. Another former team member described the entire operation as chaotic, out of touch, and deeply insecure. According to him, no one on her team could be honest with her anymore, and if they tried, it didn't end well. Katy wanted validation, not input.
And it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space.
When that validation wasn't loud enough, or when people failed to promote her image on social media, management took notice. He claimed he was even approached by Katy's team, questioning why he hadn't posted photos from the tour. You'd think being part of a global pop stars tour would be a point of pride, but for him it was the opposite. He signed an NDA, meaning he didn't want to be publicly associated with what he described as a train wreck in slow motion. Eventually, he walked away.
It all started back in 2019. I was approached by some executive producers who came up to me after a sold-out showcase in Los Angeles. Said, "We love you, we want you on our show." And I said, "What show?" And they said, "American Idol."
Behind the scenes, he claimed Katy's vibe shifted from playful and quirky to controlling and cold. Her entire persona felt borrowed, a patchwork of old pop tropes and a desperate attempt to stay relevant. When people didn't clap quickly enough or offered even the slightest bit of honest feedback, the door slammed shut. Katy allegedly refused to entertain the idea that her latest projects might not be connecting. Chandler had watched Katy's documentary at 18 and cried, convinced she could follow in her footsteps.
So in 2019, Katy Perry was the reason that I did not make it any further than the original audition on American Idol. And I've been trying to understand it ever since. It wasn't getting kicked off the show by my idol and the person that I really wanted to be like and wanted to always meet that haunted me.
What she didn't expect was that the same woman who inspired her would be the one to crush her spirit. The moment Chandler entered the room, Katy allegedly stared her down with what she later described as darkness. In 2019, Katy Perry was the reason I didn't make it past the original audition on American Idol, Chandler said, still trying to understand it. For years, she questioned what went wrong. Why did Katy seem to enjoy rejecting her? Why did the entire experience feel so cruel?
And then I also had two friends that were employees of the show. They were production assistants, and they said, "Dude, Chandler, we wanted to wait till after your audition was done to tell you this, but Katy Perry is the worst."
It wasn't until 2025 that she realized she wasn't alone. The cracks weren't just in her memory, they were everywhere. The more she shared, the more former insiders whispered, "Katy Perry isn't just falling off. She's been like this for a while." Chandler's experience on American Idol painted a grim picture. It wasn't just a bad day or an unfortunate rejection. It was the unraveling of a system designed to manufacture heartbreak for the sake of entertainment.
She went to Vegas, she went to space, she came back from space, she wants to go back to Vegas, but it's too late. It was my understanding that when you do the whole Vegas show thing, you're supposed to make Vegas like the last stop on the train, you know? Her tour is flopping.
What struck a nerve was the amount of power Katy allegedly wielded behind the scenes. It was Katy, not Lionel or Luke, who made the final call. The other judges reportedly waited to see what Katy said before offering their opinions. It wasn't a panel, it was a one-woman court. If Katy didn't like you, your dream died on the spot. The dysfunction extended to the production schedule, which was a mess. Chandler claims she arrived before sunrise and wasn't seen until long after dark, kept in a holding pattern without food or water, unable to leave the building while being prepped to perform on command.
She's awful. She's mean. She was late that day. Okay, another thing is I arrived at 5 a.m. My call time was 5 a.m. and I didn't audition till 8 p.m. that night. And again, they don't provide food. I don't even think they provided water.
The reason for the delay? Katy allegedly showed up hours late. Chandler's call times were built around Katy's schedule, not the contestants'. While hopefuls sat in fluorescent hallways starving and exhausted, Katy arrived when she pleased and still held all the cards. After her audition, two production assistants pulled her aside and told her straight up, Katy Perry is the worst. They claimed she was rude to staff, dismissive, and constantly surrounded by chaos.
One other little thing that Katy Perry did, she promoted her tour. Oh boy. You know, it really makes you wonder here. Was that just what all this was about?
One even hinted that she thrived on control. She wasn't just the face of Idol. She was the gatekeeper. If she didn't like your energy, tone, or outfit, you were out. This paints a disturbing picture. Dreams dangled like bait, only to be snatched away for reality TV drama. A global pop star allegedly using her influence not to elevate new talent, but to command the spotlight and punish those who don't fall in line. While most viewers never see this part of the machine, the cracks have always been there. They're just finally starting to show.
But also Katy Perry, who's on the flight, did this.
Katy! Woo!
The pop monoculture is dead. When younger stars do break through, think Sabrina Carpenter or Olivia Rodrigo, they're doing arenas, not stadiums. Smart, strategic sizes for the moment. Katy, however, is still trying to fill venues built for Beyoncé and Taylor Swift at their peaks. But those peaks are rare now. The middle is gone. You're either a once-in-a-generation phenomenon, or you're fighting for scraps in an attention economy that doesn't care who you were in 2010. There's also the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud. People don't want to see old pop stars unless it's nostalgic. And nostalgia only works if you stick the landing.
Up there with all the,
What training
different
did you have to do?
tools that I've learned in my life from it.
Let's go ahead and watch all the tools that Katy Perry used while she was up on her mission as she flew an astronaut crew.
Now.
Katy tried to reinvent herself as Rosie the Riveter, a space adventurer, a glitchy cyborg, but none of it resonated because no one knows what she stands for anymore. And worse, they don't care enough to figure it out. Even Beyoncé allegedly struggled to sell out certain venues, with rumours swirling about $20 ticket nights. Fans didn't rush, they waited for discounts. This isn't just a Katy problem, it's a pop star extinction event. The audience has moved on, the culture has shifted, and for those who can't adapt or refuse to believe it's happening, the fall from grace is swift, public, and brutal.
We haven't seen it. I want to see it myself.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, take a space!
Okay. So, what did they do exactly? Well, Katy Perry did this, which is a remake of her album cover.
The irony is hard to ignore. Katy once sang that karma is a bleep and that she keeps receipts. But in 2025, it feels like the receipts are being handed to her. Tour cancellations, empty seats, ex-staff speaking out, and former fans sharing their horror stories. The culture that once crowned her is now seemingly erasing her in real time. And if there's one question everyone's quietly asking, it's this. How did it all fall apart so fast? Maybe it wasn't fast. Maybe it was happening all along, and the machine just kept spinning loud enough to distract us.
Tell me everything you know because I already met her and she's horrible. And he's like, dude, she's completely out of touch. No one's honest with her on her team. And the people who try to be honest with her, she rejects. Her whole persona was stolen from Bonnie McKee.
The over-the-top visuals, the big budget videos, the celebrity brand deals, all of it hid the truth. Behind the glitter and the wigs, there was a growing disconnect between Katy and her team, between Katy and her audience, and between Katy and reality. And now that disconnect is catching up. When your staff allegedly has to clap every time you walk into a room just to protect their jobs, something is deeply broken. When you float in a spaceship to promote a tour no one is buying tickets to, desperation starts to show. And when former contestants say they felt darkness in your presence instead of inspiration, that's not just bad PR. That's a legacy cracking at the foundation. But this situation is bigger than Katy Perry. It feels like a pivotal moment where the culture has finally turned. Curated celebrity worship, industry gatekeeping, and overly polished personas have stopped being aspirational and started to feel ridiculous. People want authenticity now. They want artists who are grounded, vulnerable, and unpredictable, not holograms and spacesuits singing pre-programmed anthems about empowerment that no one asked for. So, what happens next? Does Katy Perry retreat into silence, reinvent herself for the 5th time? Or does she double down, strap on another LED bra, and keep spinning under the spotlight? Whatever she chooses, one thing is clear. The public isn't clapping anymore, no matter how loud her team begs them to. This raises an important question for you. Do you think Katy's career can still be saved? Or has the curtain officially closed on pop's most theatrical princess? Let us know in the comments. Then like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next video on your screen is waiting. Trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.